Jai Shri Radhe. Shri Vallabhadisha ki jai. Jai Shri Krishna. Today is the 83rd day of our readings, and Varta 76 continued Sant Das Chopra. Part 2. Sant Das hosted a group of Vaishnavas in his house. They would all gather in his courtyard. Mahadevji, Lord Shiva, would regularly come there and listen from a position, hiding by the door. No one knew he was there. There was a rich landowner also based in Agra who was a disciple of Sri Gosaiji and very lordly. He heard that Sant Das hosted meetings of Vaishnavas who discussed scripture, etc. He heard that they were all very happy. He inquired about what type of prasad was distributed at these gatherings. One Vaishnava told him that it was roasted grains. The Seth decided to have satsang meetings at his own home and to distribute sugared cakes and sweet balls. The Seth had all the items prepared and then spread the word that he was going to host a Vaishnava gathering there that evening and that the pastries and sweets would be distributed. However, the true appreciative crowd who loved the satsangas that Sant Das hosted all went there only. The ones who loved eating more and who wanted to please the Seth all went to the Seth's house, but there were only 2 or 3. Things went on like this for 15 days. The Seth realized that even though he was giving out pastries and sweets, hardly anyone came there. They all went to Sant Das's house where all they got was snacks of grains. Someone told the Seth that the joy they got from the satsangs at Sant Das's was immense, and that is why everyone went there. The Seth decided to go there one day and see for himself what kind of joy he would experience, so that he could imitate it in his own house. He took 3 or 4 of his own circle of Vaishnavas with him and arrived at Sant Das's house. However, he could not understand a word that was said. He fell asleep until the discussions and singing were all over. Then the grains were distributed. Someone woke up the Seth and gave him some. He was too ashamed to even put it in his mouth. He kept it in his hand and then put it down in the place where he went to put on his shoes. Mahadev picked up the grains and began to eat them. Some Vaishnavas asked, "Who is that?" They thought he had come there to thieve, and they grabbed him. Sant Das came there and stopped them, saying, "Stop! Why would a thief even come to listen to the Lord's stories?" Sant Das asked him who he was and told him to tell the absolute truth. Mahadev replied, "You are a Vaishnav dear to the Lord, so I will tell you. Let everyone leave first." So when everyone else had left, he said, "I am Mahadev. I hide here to listen to your stories of the Lord and the singing of his praises. Today that prideful Seth came here and put his Mahaprasad on the ground, so I picked it up and ate it. Mahaprasad should never be allowed to come under the feet. This is highly sinful." Sant Das asked him why he stood by the door and did not come in, and he replied that an adherent to the path of lawful limitations has no right sitting in a gathering of devotees of the path of grace. You lot get immersed in the bliss of the Lord's pastimes, and I don't have any right to listen to such things. I only listen to that for which I am qualified. That is why I sit so far away. That is appropriate for me." Taking leave of Sant Das, Mahadev disappeared. Sant Das shut his door and came inside. After that day, Sant Das adopted the habit of closing the door after all the Vaishnavas had come in. Then only would they start the stories. That made sure that no worldly person could enter and listen. Sant Das was a very considerate Vaishnava. Part 3. Every year, Sant Das would go to Gokul on the occasion of Sri Gosaiji's birthday. Knowing him to be his father's grace-filled disciple, Sri Gosaiji always blessed him. After many days, Sant Das became old and feeble. Then he wrote a letter to Sri Gosaiji asking him to send Champabai and Shankarbai from Gokul. Sri Gosaiji instructed them to go to Agra to Sant Das's home. "He will leave his body soon, so please take him some water from the Lord's feet and some Mahaprasad," he said. They did exactly that. Sant Das was so happy to see Champabai, the store manager. Sant Das partook of the prasad and then said to him, "Everything here belongs to Sri Gosaiji." He gave his Sri Thakurji and all his things along with the deeds to his house, to Champabai. "Please let the ladies live here for as long as they need to, if you like, or just sell the house and take and use the money," he said. In this way, he gave everything to Champabai, who took everything to Sri Gosaiji in Gokul. Sri Gosaiji said, "Sant Das is a disciple of my father. In fact, the treatise Vivekadhari Ashray, Wisdom, Perseverance and Refuge, is based upon him alone." A little time more passed and Sant Das's body became completely incapacitated. He lay down on the ground. All the Vaishnavas of Agra gathered around him. They offered to take him to Renuka, or Mathura. They said, "Let us take you to Mathura. It is a holy place." Sant Das said, "Will these places be able to uplift me? I have been surrendered to Sri Acharyaji my whole life, so why would I now wish to take refuge in a pilgrimage spot? That would be an obstacle to my devotional mood." So the Vaishnavas asked him if he would like to go to Gokul. Sant Das replied, "Now why would I want to go to Gokul and kick up some dust? I will not be capable of serving Gokul in any way. Please therefore all of you just chant the name of the Lord." The Vaishnavas began to chant the name of the Lord. Someone read the Ras Panchadhyay, someone sang kirtans. When his body was on the brink of dying, Sant Das told them all to listen to him and be quiet. He said, "Once it was Sri Gosaiji's appearance day. On that day I went to Sri Gokulji. He had a bath in saffron water and was wearing saffron garments. I bowed to him and he said, 'Sant Das, you have come?' I said, 'Yes, I have just now come.' Sri Gosaiji called for water in which the Lord's feet had been washed." Meditating on these moments, Sant Das left his body and entered the eternal Leela. Bhav Prakash. Sant Das was a very special and determined Vaishnava. He wanted nothing to do with holy places. He only wanted to be fully surrendered to his Guru Sri Acharyaji. He refused to go to Gokul because he did not want to litter that place of the Lord's pastimes with his gross body. All that mattered was the seva he could do for Sri Gokul and Sri Thakurji. The body was not important. Surrender to the Lord is the most important thing. The body can fall anywhere, no matter. Part 3 continued. The Vaishnavas performed the last rites to Sant Das's body. One Vaishnav went to Gokul and told Sri Gosaiji all about Sant Das. Sri Gosaiji experienced horripilation when he heard the tale. Sant Das was such a perfect devotee. His surrender was perfected, and all Vaishnavas should emulate him. He continued to praise Sant Das a lot. Sant Das was greatly accomplished devotee and a recipient of Sri Acharyaji's great grace. Thus concludes Varta 76, the story of Sant Das Chopra Kshatriya from Agra, although really and truly there is no end to his tale. Jai Shri Krishna. Shiva Labhadi Shri Ki Jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.